In the name of my ancestors, peace forever and always, and welcome to another edition of what we call the Reality's Temple on Earth Internet Ministry. I am the gatekeeper or the host of this program, known here on social media, wherever you may find me. I am known as the mighty Angel Snub 7. I am your soul brother, number 1. I would like to welcome you to this special edition of our program, and it is the topic rather is CSI, crime scene investigation. We want to speak about the difference between modern day. I'm not talking about 1960s. I'm not talking about 1940s or 70s. I'm talking about the Pan-African Black Power, blackity black, this mindset, modern day Black Power mindset. The difference in the mindset between that and what we represent here, what we call soul power. Black power, soul power. Now, our situation as African Americans or Black Americans or the Negro, however you want to say, that problem has not been dealt with. So many different names we want to call ourselves. But legally, and in the grand scheme of things, whatever the government decide who and what we are, that's what we would be. All this other stuff don't mean nothing. You're not going to put all this stuff on your passport or your driver's license or your birth certificate and all this crap, whatever. That which means something, the government or those who are in power give you permission and allow you to be whatever that is. And at this time, we are called African Americans, or they will accept Black Americans. The foundation that the Black Power people, pro-black, black first, whatever they want to call themselves, they really black. They love black. I'm a black man, God of the universe, all that kind of good stuff. They lay their foundation and they look at our situation from a historical foundation. That's what they do. It's about history. It's about history. Reading books, knowing what happened to us by reading books, doing your research. Which is nothing wrong with that. However, from the soul power side, we have decided that this is our situation. Although it is historical, it is a crime scene. It is a crime against humanity. And even the Black Power people will say, yes, it is a crime against humanity, but their foundation and their method of solving the problem is using history books and science, mathematics. This is what you will hear from them. Science, mathematics, history. And such is needed even if it's a crime scene. We want to try to see which method is more viable. One thing for sure is that we have been using this method of history for a long time. And we are still in our situation because history in and of itself do not solve your problem. We who embrace soul power, we view this as a crime scene. And we seek to bring charges. We seek to solve the crime and bring justice to the victims of a crime. You cannot do that with history books, and your foundation is history. Laying down history is only part of solving a crime. So in the Black conscious community, Black first community, there's a lot of history. You will hear them say, I'm a scholar. Many of them want to call themselves doctor, professor. The scholarship. You hear this word scholar. Listen to the scholars and the scholarship. This is a problem with books. This is a problem. There's a problem with books. There's a problem with the research. The problem with books is books are written by men. Men can be in error. Men have flaws. Men could be wrong. And men can tell and promote outright lies. History can be manipulated. History is in the eyes of those who write history. There are those who will watch this video, and one person will interpret it the way that I am bringing it. Then there are those who will interpret it another way because of bias, prejudice. They don't understand. So history, when we talk about history, history is written through the eyes of those who are fallible, those who are in error, who can be flawed, or those who are teaching outright lies. And if you don't use logic and reason, you're not analytical or use common sense, then you are taking history on face value, which could be wrong. And when we look at the scholars of history, one will say this, but then you can always find another person that will say something else that will counter what that scholar just said. So you could have somebody like John Henry Clark that would say blah, blah, blah. And then you would have another scholar on the same level, because John Henry Clark said, I don't debate those lower, not on my level. I only debate those on my level, whatever. Well, there are those who don't agree with Dr. Clark. There are those who don't agree with Dr. Ben. So if you use, so here we are. So how can we get to any truth? And then the historians become not historians. They become preachers. And then you become a cheerleader. Go, Dr. Clark. Go, Dr. Clark. Go, Dr. Ben. Go, Dr. Ben. You don't want to hear what's coming from the other side. You become a cheerleader. This is a problem. So it should not be a shock to any of us that the once called American Negro in this country, the Black American, we continue to suffer in this problem. This crime scene or this crime has not been solved, and nobody has been brought to justice because you can't get your facts together. You're all over the place. So one of the things, again, is the Black Power, Blackity Black folks. One of the words that they love is scholarship. In order to be a scholar, you have to be connected to a college or a university. And these people talk about, listen to my scholarship. The majority of these people have no degree from no credible school, regardless of race. They didn't go to what they call that, a historically black college. They didn't go to a white college or a Chinese college. They self-taught, a self-taught scholar. But that is not, when I looked up the definition of scholarship, it did not include somebody that was self-taught. You are learned, but you're not a scholar. Definition of scholar, it must be in association with a college or some university. Trained within a certain topic, I believe. These people, I have the scholarship. Many of them never been to college. Many of them never graduated out of high school. And you're listening to them because they sound good. Like I just said, you turn history into church. You turn history into cheerleading. Church, preachers. History is now church. So you get your scholarship and they say you do your research. So you listen to their research. It is not their research. They are plagiarizing. They are plagiarizing from Dr. Ben. They are plagiarizing from Ashray Kwesi or Sertima or Ohentep or whoever these people are. I don't keep up with it. They did not research anything on their own. They plagiarize and they regurgitate from sources they don't have nothing to do with. Other people's mind that they copy. It is not research. And if it's not your research, you can't call yourself a scholar. Who are your sources? You have to have a source because you didn't live in Kemet. You was not alive in 1812. You was not alive 5,000 years ago. So what are your sources? Your sources or your research is dependent upon hearsay information, a middleman. You cannot say that you had anything to do with it or you lived during that period of time that you can say, well, I was alive and I can say this is what's going on and blah, blah, blah. Again, these things can be tainted. They can be biased. They can be prejudicial. They can be outright lies. Then, of course, these people love to debate. debate me. They always want to debate somebody. But when you watch and listen to their so-called debates where they fling back and forth, plagiarized and regurgitation, because that's all that it is. It's plagiarized, regurgitated information. It's nothing but banter, emotional banter. You might get lucky and see a real debate among these people, but the majority of what you hear is emotional banter. Uncontrolled emotional banter. It is not debate. You can go probably listen to Malcolm X debate those people at Harvard or something. Those are debates. That's not emotional, uncontrolled banter. But what we call debates is nothing but cheerleading and more entertainment. So, the Black Power Pan-African mindset is founded upon history, and they seek to solve the problem of the so-called American Negro with history. I choose to say that is a failing method. It has yet to solve our problem. Because even in your history, you still don't understand what has happened to us. That's why you cannot solve the problem. Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. says the reason why this problem has not been solved is because we do not understand racism. We think we do, but we really don't. You know the consequences, the hurt and the pain, the emotion, the crime, but you really don't understand what racism really is. Because if you understood what racism really is, then you would not view and you would know that you cannot solve this problem looking at it from a historical or religious. That's another thing they do. A religious foundation. You must look at our situation as a crime scene. So this is what we here present to you. We look at this from a crime scene investigation. It's a crime. It's a crime against humanity. What has happened to the so-called black man and woman of America, the Negro in this country. It's a crime scene. It's a crime against humanity. We must look at it from that point. And once we understand it from the viewpoint of a crime and not from a historical and religious viewpoint, then we can begin to understand what racism is, understand the crime so that you can solve it. So you will never hear from Sonetta Studios. You will never hear from the Black Authority. You will never hear from Tariq Nasheed, Yvette Carnell, all these people y'all love, and Lennon Honor, who else? Young Pharaoh, even our brother Tahaka Bay. You will never hear them speak outside of a historical or religious foundation, which clearly is not working. It's not working. It's not solving our problem. You will not hear them and present to you our problem as a CSI investigator. This is a crime scene. Angel Snub Nub 7, those of us who come to this platform, we are crime scene investigators. What is it to be a crime scene investigator? When you are a detective, when you are a police officer, When you are a homicide investigator, you must pay attention to detail. When you come to the scene, you cannot be emotional. And this is what you hear from all these platforms. They get you fired up with emotion. Oh, the white man's the devil. And they talk about how you're God. They play with your emotion. The white man's the devil. You get emotional. You're not a slave. You're God. They play on your emotion. We need to solve this crime. You cannot be emotional. You cannot think about the victims, actually. You have to stay with your mind clear. What happened? We don't pay attention to detail. If we paid attention to detail, Angel Snub 7 would not even exist. There would be no need for Angel Snub 7. We would be in a better place. Our crime would be solved, and we would be in a better place. The reason why there's an Angel Snub 7 is because there has been no attention to detail. That's the reason why. The crime has not been solved. You don't understand really what racism is. This is a crime scene. And you are too emotional to solve the crime. You don't have the tools to solve the crime. You cannot do it from a historical religious foundation. You're not going to get nowhere. This is not my opinion. This is facts. You have been Pan-African for how long? You have been Hebrew Israelite for how long? You have been Black Christian for how long? Black Muslim? Black Panther? For how long? Have you solved the problem? No. Are you progressing? No. You have Allah, you have Yashara, you have Yahweh. We have all our gods. We got religion. We got all the history that a person can need. You're still in the same condition you was, probably worse, than back in 1930. There's a reason for that. You don't understand what you're dealing with. You don't understand that this is a crime scene. The only thing you know how to do is cry. Cry and get emotional over the crime instead of understanding the crime and how to solve the crime. Solve the crime. There's a fictional character called MacGyver. Not only MacGyver, but there are there's people who are, or what we call, survivalists. And what we do when we are survivalists, if we are MacGyver, survivalists, this character MacGyver, they take whatever is available to them and use it so they can survive. Here you are, you don't know how to take the tools that's available to you so you can use it to survive and get free. And you don't know how to use, nor do you have the mindset of a crime scene investigator so that you can solve your problem once and for all with the tools that you get from having a survivalist mindset. And this is because all this emotion, well, the black man and woman is God, and we gods of the universe, and the white man is the devil, all this emotion, and the spaceship gonna come and save us, and all this clapping and cheering, and plus you get 3 meals a day. You get 3 meals a day. You get to watch TV and play on YouTube and Facebook all day. You're comfortable. So you're not in survival mode. You're just in entertainment mode. You want to put on a show like you're a revolutionary. You want to put on a show like you want to liberate yourself, when in reality, with all that blackity black stuff, just look at how they live. These people don't look like they are living in survival mode. You're living like you are comfortable. You're not expecting the police to knock down your door. You're not expecting not to eat tomorrow, because I pay my bills. You pay your bills and you expect to eat. You don't expect the lights to go out because you pay your bills. You live comfortable. And you give to your preachers, and you give to Farrakhan, and you give to the Black Authority and Tariq Nasheed and Yvette, all your preachers. And you give to Sinetta, even to Huckabee. You give your money because they are your preachers. They entertain you. You're comfortable. You don't have the mind of a survivalist. You take things for granted. You know you're going to have water come through. If you was a survivalist and you really believe the things that you teach and y'all talk about, you wouldn't be acting in the manner that you act. You act like comfortable Negro. And this is why they don't like Angel Snub Nub 7. They don't like Angel Snub Nub 7 is because I know that you're not serious about what you're talking about. It's a black power church. Black First Church. Pan-African church. Red, black, and green church. You're comfortable. You don't think like a crime scene investigator. Because if you thought like a crime scene investigator, you would come to the same conclusion that I do about and how I look at Pan-Africanism, Black Firstism, religion, spirituality. You would look at those things the same way I do. But you don't have the mind. You don't have there's a word for it. But you just don't have that mindset. You're comfortable in how you're living. You don't view. You say you have a problem, but you don't act like you have a problem. It's like a person with a gunshot acting normal. You got this big hole in your side, and you want to get on the dance floor and sing and dance around. You got this. Now we know if you got a big bullet hole in your side, you're not going to want to get on the dance floor and twerk. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. You cannot have it both ways. Either you are suffering, either you are oppressed, or you're not. One or the other. This is why nobody is taking us seriously. You're talking about you oppressed, and you got your pretty clothes, and your gator shoes, $300 shoes, and fancy cars. They talking about they oppressed. Talking about the white man doing this. These Negroes are millionaires. I'm fighting for the oppression of black people. You listen to Farrakhan, who's a millionaire, talk about how you oppressed. How the hell are you oppressed and you're a millionaire? Wearing $500, $600 suits, $1,000 suits. What's oppressed by that? I'm suffering. Why don't you help your brothers and sisters that you claim you love? instead of living high on the hog, trying to copy and living like the people that you claim is oppressing you. The whole thing doesn't make any sense. This is why they don't like Angel Snubbing Up 7. Because when you come here, we keep it real. There's no way I can talk about how oppressed I am, and I'm driving $60,000, $100,000 cars, buying Lamborghinis and mansions and swimming pools and movie stars. What kind of oppression are you living under? We are the most richest, wealthiest, oppressed people in history. Nobody, how can you take, we don't even take ourselves serious because it's not true. Not in 2022. Yeah, we are the descendants of the oppressed, but right now we're not. Nobody here can really sit around here and talk about. And there are incidents like George Floyd and the young lady, Rebekkah Boyd in Chicago, and the sister in Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah, there are incidents that happen among us, but overall, nobody can look at us and talk about how oppressed we really are. Not living good. You eat good. Most of us are fat. We're overweight. So you're eating damn good. The world cannot take us seriously. We're not even taking ourselves seriously because it's not true. If you want this problem, our problem solved, we need to get real with ourselves. If we want this problem solved, we need to get real with ourselves. And we need to understand that what we have been doing is not working. Respect to our elders, respect to those who came before us. But now the situation, that did not work. We have to look at things differently. We cannot solve this problem from a historical foundation. We must look at things from a investigation, analytical. We must be logical. We must practice reasoning, being analytical, and use common sense. You're not going to solve our situation. You're not going to solve this problem if we have a problem, because you act like you don't have a problem. Because you're singing and dancing and buck shuffling or whatever, claiming oppression. You don't act like you oppressed or hurting. You might have a little discomfort, but hey, Jay-Z and Beyonce and Oprah Winfrey, rich people have a little discomfort. That's how you act. You act just like they do. You don't have as much as they do, but you act like comfortable Negroes just like they do. And you putting on this show. You putting on a show. Black power. What they say, perpetrating a fraud. That's what you putting on a show. It's like the hog-nosed snake. The hog-nosed snake can pretend to be a rattlesnake. It can rub its scales together, sound like a rattle. But it has no poison. It cannot hurt you. It's putting on a show. It's a fraud. And that's how you do. That's how we do in the black conscience, this blackity black. You have no poison. You're not a threat. You're not dangerous at all. Just put on a show. And you hope that your enemy will leave you alone. It's all for show. Your bark is worse than your bite. You have no bite. That's why Angel Snubbing Up 7 100 of my channels will be taken down because my bite, I'm a threat. Even on Facebook, I'm a threat. They don't really bother these people. They don't bother these folks. Because their bark is worse than their bite. They have no bite. They're not a threat. And all of you who are listening to them, you're not a threat. It's just a show. You want to pretend that you're oppressed. You want to pretend. And a lot of you, maybe one day, they'll give us reparations. That's what it's about too. For like Yvette Carnell, Taalik Nasheed, maybe we might get reparations. Because you want to get paid. That's what it's about. So I'm going to complain. I want to pretend like I'm part of this because I just want to get paid. Off the blood, sweat, and tears of your ancestors who really was oppressed, who really was murdered. You made a joke out of our struggle. That's why they don't like Angel Snuffing Up 7. Because I put you out there where you're at. You're fake and you're fraud. Our ancestors' real oppression does not deserve what you're doing to them. The ancestors. You don't give a damn about no ancestors. Only thing you want to do is get paid. So you can live like white folks. So you can be corrupt and filthy and dirty just like many of the other people on the planet. So this is a crime scene investigation. And if we really want to solve our dilemma once and for all, we gotta, you as a individual, as a person, you can have all the history you want and y'all can debate over that, and you can be religious as you want. Y'all can debate and fight over that. But this problem will not be solved. If you want it solved, it will not be solved by a historical or religious foundation. You have to look at things from the mind of a crime scene investigator. And then we must use the tools that's available to us in order for us to survive. Nothing will be given to us on a silver platter. It's not going to happen. Respect to all of us, regardless if you are Pan-African, Black Power, you're a Black Christian, a Hebrew Israelite, or Muslim, or FBA, whatever you want to call yourself. Respect to all of us out here who do understand that we do have a problem, because many of our people, the masses of the people, are more comfortable than we are. But we need, since we are more awakened, since we know these things, we need to do better. But the reality of things is, I know some of us don't want to do better because you actually getting paid. As long as the problem exists, you get paid. What you're going to do if the people problem gets solved? So keep the problem and you get paid. After you die, who gives a damn? This is the reality. Many of these people don't give a damn about us or our ancestors. It's about they found a way to hustle. Black power is a hustle. Pan-Africanism is a hustle. The Christian church, of course, you know, is a hustle. It's a way to get paid. And if you solve the problem, how am I going to get paid? I can't just give up this easy money. Easy money. No real work. Just run my mouth and get paid. Ask Tariq Nasheed. Beautiful way to make a living. Just run your mouth. Get paid. But if you want to get liberated, if you want to be free, then I suggest to you, use your logic. Use your reasoning skills. Be analytical and use some common sense and just simply be real. Do you or you don't want true liberation? Just be real with yourself. If you don't, that's cool. You're only tricking, the only person that you're tricking and deceiving is yourself. Not me. That's why they don't like Angel Snub Nub 7. Because I put all these pieces of trash on Front Street. They know that I know that they're not real. That's why they don't like Angel Snub Nub 7. They represent black power, which would not exist without white power. That's the offspring. That's the consequence or the result of dealing with white racism. Soul power is the healing, bringing life back to that which was made dead. That's what soul power is about. You cannot come back to life using the tools that killed you. You cannot use a gun to heal. Those things, that mindset, coming from up out of that racial construct developed by Europeans, that's the thing that killed you. That's making you dead. How can you expect that to bring life into the body? How do you expect that to give us life? It's not. So I suggest to us to become crime scene investigators. I suggest to us learning how to use the tools that's available to us in order to solve this problem. And we can bring the perpetrators of this crime to justice and give ourselves what we deserve and give our ancestors the true honor and put our ancestors in the true spot on this planet among human beings that they deserve from their suffering that they have done for now going on 500 years or much, much longer. I thank you for listening. Jot down your comments. And we'll catch you on the flip. Until next time, as Don Cornelius used to always say as in parting, I wish us love, peace, and soul. And we are Audi 5000.